Running a day camp is challenging for many reasons, and when you're sharing facilities with a school or a fitness center, that adds a slew of interesting variables. But the fact is, there are probably more day camps out there who share or rent facilities than there are who actually own their properties. Brianne Feinour and Megan Snape are two seasoned camp pros who pull it off every summer with great success. So let's pick their brains and see what we can learn. This is the Day Camp Pod.
This is the Day Camp Pod from Go Camp Pro, bringing you the best ideas, strategies, and discussions in the day camp industry. You can find our show notes at daycamppodcast.com.
The Day Camp Podcast is brought to you by CRS, Commercial Recreation Specialist, go-to source for recreation solutions that will ensure that your camp thrives. Explore their website today at CRS or Rec. CRS is very fun. Scheduling shouldn't be so difficult and take as much time as it does. Come check out Camp Activities to learn all about their scheduling tools and they're specifically designed for camp by camp people. Save time, get rid of the mistakes, and get back to enjoying your summer. Find out more at camptivities.com. Let me tell you about CampMinder, the #1 camp database in the world. It has the most robust offerings and services found anywhere. Every feature works together to create a policy system that helps your camp office run more efficiently while giving your campground state-of-the-art communication and financial. Check out the details at campminder.com.
Welcome back to the Day Camp Pod. We're going to jump right in. Megan, where are you coming from? Where are we zooming from with you?
Hi, my name is Megan and I am the camp director for Branksome Hall Day Camps, which is a day camp located in Toronto, downtown Toronto, on the beautiful campus of Branksome Hall, which is an independent IB World school, well known around the world.
Wow. So downtown Toronto. So like, can we call you an urban camp?
Yes,
Does that apply?
definitely an urban camp. We have a beautiful campus, actually. It's 13 acres. And if you're driving along the main street, Mount Pleasant, down into Toronto, coming up to Bloor, you'd never imagine what is behind that facade at the beginning. But we have a beautiful valley, 4 tennis courts, a field, none of which you can see from the main road. But yeah, it is definitely an urban campus.
And Andy,
That's
this is
awesome.
all a ploy to get more people to come to Toronto and come hang out with us and see all of here.
Hey, I'm down for it. I'm totally down for it, especially now that, I'm a Blue Jays fan.
It's gonna happen next year.
I'm a big fan of your first baseman. He's really, really cool guy. And they're all cool. I mean, I have to say, what a great team. It really got to pull for these characters. So when did this day camp start? Like, how long has it been in existence? Because I'm guessing the school's been here for like 200 years or something.
Well, the school's about, I believe it's 120 years old. It started in 1903. And the actual day camp only started around 2015 when we opened a brand new athletics and wellness center. So that became the push to, start a day camp. So we celebrated 11 summers this past year. So it's relatively new in
That's
terms of the
cool.
day camp world.
Oh, that's excellent. All right, Brianne Feinour. Tell everybody where you're from, because you're just right around the corner from Liberty Lakes. Or
Yeah. So I'm coming from Newtown, PA. We are a private day camp that runs out of a fitness training center. It's over 25 acres. The main campus for our camp is like in a 40,000 square foot turf facility, which has nice, beautiful air conditioning. But then the beauty of us is that we also get to use all of the amenities of the NAC. And now we have a farm half a mile down the road, which we also get to use. So that's a really neat opportunity for us. And we serve for children ages 3 to 15.
so when she says NAC, she's saying Newtown Athletic Center, folks. Just to know. And so it's a big athletic center. I've been there. Sort of like any of you guys know, like Lifetime Fitness. Like it's a really nice big athletic center. But then it has a huge backyard, unlike most of these kind of places. I mean, it is really big. I mean, tell people what is back there besides the giant pool slides, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, so we have like 2 major water slides. We have a playground area. We have like an open field area. We have Gaga. We have adult pool. We have like a lounge. We have where all the food and beverages are stored. And the kids just have a really cool opportunity, but there's just so much space that we can turn it into anything really. And then there is like a field across the street that we're able to use from the NAC. And they opened this Newtown Performance Institute, which is also another facility that's like right across the street from us. It's a brand new building that we're going to be able to use this summer as well.
And like a lot of these camps, and I'm thinking of my friend that runs the JCC has a similar situation. Brianne has 9 different programs running simultaneously, right?
Yep.
That is nothing to sneeze at. That is some serious stuff. Megan, what kind of facilities are outside or outdoors that you guys get to have at your school?
Outdoor facilities, we have like a beautiful valley. So it's like a wooded area. We've got an outdoor classroom in that woods, a few little trails that meander through the woods. We have 4 tennis courts, a massive soccer field, as well as a softball diamond. We have what we call the butterfly garden, which is just a place where there's some gardens and hammocks and a nice little grassy area. There's a massive playground. There's an outdoor, what we call, there's a quad, which has a little playground in it too. There's also kind of a cement paved area where there's like some basketball courts and games painted on the ground. So lots of beautiful outdoor facilities, as well as some really cool state-of-the-art indoor
Sounds like a
facilities.
college more than in school.
Yes,
It's insane.
we're very lucky. We're very lucky.
You said middle of town, Toronto, and you said woods.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know. You don't think you would get it. That's why I said when you drive
No.
by, you would never imagine what's behind our junior school. So it is
You know,
gorgeous.
and how many kids do you have each day?
We have about 400, just over 450 kids each week. So yeah, each
So
day.
similar to Brianne, right?
Yeah.
You guys have too.
Yeah, we have about
It's pretty impressive. And the kids come, you come from how many weeks? Like, what are the choices if there's someone signing up there?
Our sessions run mostly on 1-week sessions. So we offer about 36 different options every week for kids to pick from. And so they're 1-week options, and most kids come for multiple weeks. So they're switching options. Maybe they'll do, a multi-sport 1 week, and then they'll come and do our robotics another week, and then, come and do an art camp. Or our swim camps are 2-week sessions because we do swim lessons like through the Life Saving Society. So they get 2 swim lessons a day. But most of our camps, and we have a leadership camp as well. That's a 2-week camp, but most of our sessions are 1 week.
Wow. That's like the Greek diner of thinking.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
all have to deal with other activities going on for the school, like summer school happening at the same time in the facility?
So not so much. I'm also the director of the Slingshot Innovation Academy, which is an academy the school just launched in helping prepare our students to be future ready. And so that just launched this past summer. And so we do share space. We have some courses in AI, entrepreneurship. We're running one right now in partnership with the Rotman School of Management at U of T. So that's running during the school year. But our summer courses, mostly we have the run of the campus, which is fantastic. But
That's great.
as things evolve, the school obviously wants to offer more and more. And we have a brand new building opening in 2026 called ICAST, the Innovation Center and Studio Theater. So it's going to big performing arts center along with innovation spaces like robotics and podcasting. And so we're going to have a podcasting space, which is awesome. And so as we grow, there may be more and more opportunities that we want to offer our community. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to look at in terms of collaboration down the line of how we offer all of these things to our community and share the space.
And what does it cost per week generally for these things in Canadian dollars?
In Canadian dollars, our camps run from currently about $575 to anywhere to just under $700 a week, all inclusive, lunches included, 2 snacks. So we've got a wide range of things included, but
Jordan, is it like 500 American? What are we talking about?
What did you think? Megan, 5? What was that?
yeah, like $575 to just under
No, our
$700 a
dollar
week.
sucks. So it's a lot. Yeah,
It
maybe
was
under.
$5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive.
And Brianne, are you running programs all throughout the year or just focused on the summer? And who else is using those spaces while you're in there? So for the summer, we run for 13 weeks, which is an anomaly in the camp industry. But we have in our bulk weeks, we offer like at least 9 different camp options, I would say. And then we do have schools out camps throughout the school year. So holiday breaks we would do. And then we also really like to have our community days, which just it's just a lot of family gatherings. We want to really keep our like included in our cost, which we roughly our weekly cost is, I would say on average 400 a week. That doesn't count like any lunch or before and after care. But included in that value, we are giving our families the experience year round, which would be the family events that we host constantly.
They're a heck of a deal. That's what I've been telling her. There's no doubt about it. And so Brianne, on a regular camp day,
Mhm.
how do you sort of separate the people coming in and working out versus the kids that are there at camp and that kind of thing?
So we have gotten really good at communicating with all the other directors of the NAC, and they know during camp season, there's periods of time where we just need to reserve the space. So when we're at the training center, which is our home base, that's primarily just camp. There is going to be other sports camps that will rent that space. So there is times where we will share. There's like a baseball camp or softball camp. We don't run like elite sports camps, I would say. We run like leisure sports camps and competitive, but they're not for like pursuing athletes in that specific sport. And then in terms of when we use the NAC space, we're really mindful of the certain areas. So there will be spaces that we don't use, like the main fitness floor. We're going to leave that to our members. If we want the kids to be able to work out, then we would reserve a space specifically for us. So it becomes like we try and avoid the members as much as possible. And then we've gotten really good at spacing our community out over time. So it really should feel like camp is there, but not really there, if you get what I'm saying.
Right. But like if I'm a member, do I come in at some point and see a sign on the door of the pool? Let's say it says swimming for the camp until 1 o'clock or something like that.
So typically we leave at least 2 lanes open for our members at all times. So camp really shouldn't ever take up the full amount of space. Same with the basketball gym, we try and keep at least half open for the members unless there's like a special occasion where we block it, which then we would communicate out like via email to all of our NAC members and or put like something on the door a week in advance to let them know, hey, this is a very limited time. But that's not during peak times where they're working out. That would be like outside those areas in the later of the afternoon where the spaces aren't really being used.
Well, that's a juggling act. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really impressive, that you have to manage that.
It does sound, yeah, and in terms of that shared facility, like, I'm sure and it sounds like you've already learned so much in the years of sharing the facility, and Megan, for you as well, like, I'm sure that first year looks so different than how you're running it now, but are there some, like, facility hacks or, like, things that, like, looking back, you're saying to yourself, "Oh, I wish I knew this before," or, "Now that we do it this way, this is the way we should have always done it." What kinda things come to mind when you think of that?
I think for us, like we have to really, we used to have, when I first started, we've grown our camp twice the amount that when I first started, there was like 200 kids, maybe. Now we're close to 500, 400 to 500. But we first started with all the kids swimming at like one-ish time. Like it was a lot of things were grouped. And then as we evolved, I've really learned like spacing kids out and also sending them on field trips helps alleviate that. So having 4 swim times and 3 lunch times and almost every day except for Monday, we send a group on field trips that has really helped us open up that space even when we are at our highest weeks. So I wish we could have learned that earlier, but it also like I feel like we've adapted very quickly over time, which is like a really huge skill set that I would say is working out of a shared space that I feel like really strongly in with our camp group that we're just adaptable, we can communicate effectively, and we're just kind of go with the flow and just make it happen.
That flexibility must be so important.
Yeah.
And Megan, there's not people like from the school, the students at the same time as the camp, but I can imagine even like coming into the space, even for training or something right before camp. Like, what are some of those hacks for you?
Yeah, so we're the same as Brienne. We've grown quite a bit over the past 3 or 4 years to pretty much double our size as well. So just figuring out those pieces of, the lunchtime. I think The biggest thing for me has been that relationship building with the different departments within our, within the school. So, becoming best friends with your facilities team. And so that you're top of mind in terms of, okay, there's a renovation project going on, or there's something that's happening on a facilities basis. And they think about you in terms of, okay, I've got to let Megan know that this is happening so we can coordinate or we can collaborate. So it's really building those relationships amongst different people in different departments, because even though the students aren't there, the school is still open throughout the summertime. So there's still lots of staff and employees working. So making sure they have the communication that's needed to, still go about their jobs. And, one of those pieces is lunch. We have 3 lunch times now. So when can the employees come for lunch, and where do they sit and things like that? So just making sure that they still feel like, they can continue on with their work that needs to be done in the summertime, and that communication piece is really
Well,
We
you
we had to do a little relationship building with our school district when they had summer school in one of the schools that they put us in. But what we did was create a camp just for the summer school students. So they didn't have to leave when summer school was over. They could stay and do camp in the afternoon, which
Mhm.
eliminated a lot of the lower income students that they couldn't get them to daycare. Parents were working. So then they wouldn't send them to summer school. So this way they could still send them to school and have camp, and it worked out for the parents.
The Day Camp podcast is brought to you by CRS, Commercial Recreation Specialists, your go-to resource for the latest programming and recreation solutions to help your campers thrive. Check out the all-new Water Tag, where campers suit up in special vests and blast away with high-powered water launchers for the ultimate splash battle. Rev up the fun with new Pump Tracks, a modular, easy-to-install bike course that brings the need for speed to any camp setting. And when it's time to cool down, FLX Shade delivers stylish, innovative shade with maximum coverage and minimal impact on your site. CRS also offers prefabricated cabins, pavilions, and restroom buildings. Everything you need to create a better camper experience. For more info, visit crsforrec.com. That's CRS, the number 4, REC.com. CRS is serious about fun. You know how much work goes into building the perfect camp schedule. And when a key staff member leaves, it can feel like starting from scratch. That's where Camptivities comes in. Built by camp people for camp people. It protects your institutional camp knowledge and ensures that every camper gets the schedule you promised. And Camptivities does it all for day camps. Auto scheduling for staff, campers, groups, manual adjustments, over 70 reports for rosters and data analysis, tons of customizable settings, and so much more. Schedule smarter at camptivities.com. Don't wait until the new year. Now's the time to find a better way to schedule and save 15% for the first year. Camptivities would love to show you the next big thing in camp. Visit camptivities.com to set up a time to chat. Let Camptivities help you get away from your desk and back out to camp.
Well, Sam, can you summarize all the different shared facilities that you deal with? Because you got a lot of them.
Yes, we've got now 3 camps that are in schools and then 2 that aren't. We just added a new camp at another school last year, but I started a year in advance asking the administration for another building. There's 7 schools in our district, and during the school year, we're in all of them, but in the summer, they give us 3. The one they put us in this year, the last added, does not have air conditioning. That was very difficult because it does get really hot. But this year I'm asking for the 3 that do have air conditioning, and fingers crossed we'll get to use those 3 facilities. We use the gym, the cafeteria, and the playground at each one. So,
And then, of course, there's the parks. And
yeah.
so in regard to the parks, like, and I know we've touched on this a bunch of times in the last 6 years, but I find it so fascinating, right? So are there any kind of like delineations? Are there any kind of, are staff told to be watching out and that kind of thing? Like, because if you guys are having camp and then these strange people sort of just start walking through, like, how do you guys manage that?
We've at Main Beach Teen Camp has their own room, which is a wedding dress up room for the bride during the weekends and during the year. But that's the teen camp room in the summer. But all of the camps start at the beach in the morning. So they all have feather flags and a certain amount of picnic tables that they circle. So we have the other 4 camps are in circles in specific areas of the beach. And then rental groups have to go down to the other end of the beach while they're there. So sometimes, we're 500 and some kids. Sometimes a camp of 100 will come in as well. Plus you've got the public people, and they are moving our public swim lessons to the other beach this year because we had to compete with them as well for the lifeguards. And then we have another park with a home facility, but we rotate groups in and out of the facility. It can't hold all of them at once. So half will be outside doing gaga and whatever, hiking and baseball and basketball. The other half will be in doing arts and crafts, and then they'll flip flop. So yeah,
It's
public is always around.
no, Jordan and I are just like, wow, it's really amazing. So when I first got into camping 25, 30 years ago, there was a school that took place at Newark Academy, which is a really nice private school, similar to the school that Megan's at. This is in North Jersey, New Jersey. And they had full summer school while this camp was going on. And this also was a 500, 600 kid camp, fully elective. So the kids were going in all different directions. They sort of met by grade in the morning. And then, okay, you know where you're going. Okay, I've got robotics. Okay, I've got baseball. And they would sort of just split and go. And my question was, which is, well, my question is going to be for you guys. When you're in a shared facility, how do you address when parents ask about it? Because, we deal with a lot of nervous parents, and, it is what it is, right? But you have to present it in a way that's going to give them confidence that there's going to be strangers, there kind of thing. This guy, Neil Rothstein, that ran this Camp for Horizons, these are really, really nervous parents that he had. And he would say to them, well, I understand your kid's only 6 or 7 years old, but at some point they're going to be in middle school, and it's sort of like middle school. They come in, they have their homeroom, they move from thing to thing, and and he would turn it on them and say, well, you know what? If your kid's not ready for this, then that's fine. And then the parents would be like, well, our kid's ready for this. Like, what do you mean? Kind of thing. And he rarely had people, that turned away from it, even though, like I said, he had hundreds of students, high school students that were at summer school while his camp was going on, and he still managed to do it. So it is possible. And so again, it's about how do you frame it. So Brianne, how do you frame it at the NAC?
I would say somewhat similar to that. Like I know the parents that are thinking from a safety perspective, I kind of feel out the audience, right? But like we do wristbands, and that's like a key for us. And like all of our staff is in a very specific color blue uniform. I'm very strict on that. So I remind parents our staff is always visible. They cannot wear like a zip up, they can't cover their uniform, they have to be in blue. All the kids have a specific color wristband based on group. And we do a lot of safety training with our staff and just like kind of reminding them every single transition we are counting, we are walking backwards. So those little things that we do teach our staff, I do believe is really important. And then I do let parents know as much as humanly possible, we will make sure that we are out of like the members' way. So like on the 3rd floor is a youth plex. There's no one else coming up but us. If we are sharing space, we kind of put ourselves in like the door area or politely ask the members, hey, can you just stay on this side? That kind of stuff. But reminding families that, like you said, like when you're walking around at like an amusement park, your child's around other people, right? So we're teaching them patience and courtesy and politeness and like walking through the hall and respectful and responsibility. So we tell parents too that we are helping their child like learn independent skills. And kind of like he said, like if a child is running away or walks away from the group, that's a different discussion we'll have with the parent. But most of the kids understand. They stay in line, they follow the counselors, they want to be respectful. And we also do like bucket fillers where when kids are like doing things that are kind or going over and above, or a group is, listening to directions well, we reward them and we give them and we praise them. So we highlight on all that kind of behavior. And it feels like in our camp community, that's what the kids want to do. Granted, it's not every day is not perfect, but I feel like for the most part, parents are, and if honestly, if they feel uncomfortable, I say you are more than welcome to come in and like watch your child. I think it's more of a pool that they feel a little uncomfortable, but we make sure there's no adults in the changing area where our kids are, and that we're very, very overstaffed in that area just because I think that's the most like level of concern for our families.
Well, you sold me if I'm a nervous now. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
That was really great. Megan, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, for us, it's about being a downtown campus. So we're, right in the heart of Toronto at Mount Pleasant and Bloor. And
Do you guys go on the streets at all? Do you guys like take little field
we
trips
have
down the
to,
mountain?
yeah, because our west campus is on one side of Mount Pleasant and our east campus is on the other side. So we do have to cross. We have an overpass over Mount Pleasant, that was built specifically for Branksome quite a number of years ago, but it's attaching to the new building, so it's currently not open. So we've had to hire a crossing guard to have at that intersection for kids to cross the street. But I think, from our point of view, we have a couple of things in place to hopefully make parents feel at ease. But same as Brianne, our staff members always have to wear their staff shirts every day, all day. And our staff always, all campers have to be with the staff at all times. So even going to the bathroom or even within the school itself, when some kids say, well, I go to the bathroom by myself at my school, and that's an age appropriate thing. And we recognize that. But most of our kids sometimes come for a week and they're not familiar with the facilities or not familiar with, where things might be. So we have that in place. And then we also, all of the doors of our buildings are locked. So we have access cards that we issue to each staff member, and only staff can get into areas of the buildings with those access cards. So we also have campus security that's at kind of our main entryways as well. So not sharing the campus with necessarily the public itself, but obviously the public can walk onto campus and there are areas that are public side. And we're doing the same things that Brianne mentioned about, head counts and safety training with our staff and making sure that, kids are learning those pieces of independence and, okay, where am I? Where's my staff member? Where's my group? Those types of things to be aware of and building those
Yes,
skills.
important skills, important skills. I mean, we're an elective camp where kids are walking all over the place. And I agree. I think that you're preparing them for middle school, for adulthood, for all those kind of things. And I know many camps that have streets going through them that there's crossing guards and such. And I even know sleepaway camps that have it. So yeah, it's not that out of the ordinary at all. Sam, what about you guys? So how do you present it to parents?
Well, the training is key. Like Brianne said, training the staff is key, but also letting the parents know that if they want to, it's a public space. They can come observe if they want to, but they have to definitely check in with the counselor and then check out with the counselor. They can't, I've had over the years where they thought they could just take their child and leave and, not talk to somebody. So they're not allowed on field trips anymore. That was way too chaotic to have parents volunteer for that because they would not follow our rules. But the staff are also trained that if there's a suspicious person in the park, say we had a lady watching camp one day, so they approached her and said, can I help you? And she was with the child. And she said, oh, I just wanted to know about camp. So they just told her the deal and then she walked away. Well, then she showed up the next day without a child and again was just watching the camp. And at that point, it was like, we are having a private program here. You need to, move along. And so they're trained to make sure that they're keeping their eyes out for any suspicious activity. We do have park policemen, which is wonderful because we can call them right away. And then they will come question the person as well if they're being too attentive to our kids.
Penalties. So one of the last episodes we did was about how to bring the sleepaway camp spirit to a day camp. So my question for you guys, all three of you guys, is how do you bring like really campy spirits into a non-traditional program? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Brianne, Megan, I don't know. Did you guys go to campus kids? Like to more traditional camp?
Yeah. I spent 21 years working at an overnight camp. And
Oh, okay.
So
All right. So then what do you do? What do you do at your camp to make it get that vibe?
this is something that I've been working on over the past 4 years that I've been at Branksome to, kind of bring some of that because it is different. It's a different vibe. But I think at the outset, it's about the school has 4 core values and bringing those 4 core values into our programming, into the decisions we make. And that kind of infuses a little bit of a campy vibe because their sense of community, creativity, making a difference, and inclusiveness, which are, just things that naturally happen at camp and naturally align with camp. So it's fantastic that our school core values are that as well. And so I think, having those behind our decisions in terms of our programming and the staff we hire helps bring that in. But also just knowing that even though, we're downtown, sometimes when we're in the back valley, as you were saying, like woods in the middle of Toronto, those places feel very campy. And so it's that sense of community though, and that creativity that bring that camp spirit in. So it's kind of infusing that during staff training, picking the staff that we hire based on that and what they can bring into their programming. Just even those, silly camp songs or, those types of games and things like that that you can bring in to make it that campy vibe. Even things like we're looking at, having some sort of system in terms of like I just came back from Spark and they had these bottle badges that I think are pretty common across the US, but even bringing some things in like that where even though they're not working towards levels per se, like maybe an overnight camp would be, but they may be working towards, other fun things that kind of infuse that camp spirit.
That's so amazing.
That's awesome.
I think that bringing that camp spirit takes a certain type of leader too to come in and really have that vision for it too, right? Because I know sometimes when you grow up at camp, you have a vision of what your camp was like when you were growing up or when you were on staff, right? And then you might get to an environment or a space that is so different than maybe what you grew up in or what your vision of what that would be is. So to be able to infuse those pieces no matter the environment is really amazing. Like you both have highlighted differences, like even the uniforms. Like at our camp, we don't mandate a uniform every day, right? The idea of having access cards for every building or even specific keys is so different depending on the environment, right? But yeah, that's really amazing that you do that at your camp.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
also about that culture piece, right? Like, what does your camp culture look like? And even though you say, "Oh, well, how do you infuse that camp spirit?" It's the culture. Like, we have a particular culture at our camp, and that's okay. Like, that's our version of camp or our definition of being campy. So that's important too.
so Bree, how do you make your kids feel like they're at a camp, like getting forging that community vibe, like she was talking about?
So I would say like the culture one is a big thing for us. Like Friday, every Friday we do camper, counselor, and group of the week. So what we started to do is we have a camp acronym, and every day all of our staff and kids read what that means. So it spells out camp NAC, and we talk about choosing kindness. We're accountable for our words, actions, and safety. We manage our emotions. We participate. There's no bullying. We listen to our counselors and we clean up and they explain that. So that has become like the culture of what we're looking for. And I had mentioned the bucket fillers. That has become really huge for us. So when we are seeing staff and campers doing these things in our camp acronym that aren't just like showing up and being a nice person, they're going over and above and helping that friend that's really shy that they just met have a good experience. We write their name down and we put these in buckets and we hand those out on Friday. And then also we started to do Camp Cash, which we modeled this off of a SOAR program in a school district. They give out like fake cash to kids. And our leadership teams are trained in like giving kids this. So we're kind of incentivizing positive rewards. And we have a prize bin where the kids can turn in this Camp Cash and they can win little prizes. And what'll happen on Friday is the camper of the week. We have a male and female camper and a male and female counselor, and they get an award. And on the back, it's all the buckets of why they won. And we go over the camp acronym, all the kids will say the letters and they all raise their hand. They want to say what that letter means. And then we announce, we do the drum roll, everyone's really quiet, and we all cheer for who won. And then we say why they won, and we read the buckets. And the camp group of the week we read as well. And they get whether it's like a popsicle or a lollipop or a special activity of the week. So the kids really look forward to that Friday. And we have one of our managers that is an Eagles cheerleader that is just bringing the hype on Friday. And he has just become like the most, like everyone knows with Mr. James, he's doing some sort of different, like getting the kids involved in a different way every Friday. But they all know we're getting camper and counselor of the week. And we started to give out like little zebra stuffed animals that tease like the farm camp for the campers, and which is really cool. And we do have like a teen of the week as well. But that's like our notorious activity that we do within our camp community that feels, I would say, like that's our special thing.
That's so nice. Like those traditions and rituals, like as you're describing it, I can see it all playing out. That sounds so amazing.
So
But
it's
right, it's just you can have different events that can happen anywhere, right? Like it doesn't matter what the space. Like we have a dance show at the end of every Friday. And so that can happen anywhere, whether it's a gymnasium or a field or, those types of stuff. It doesn't matter. But it's those special events that bring your community together and the enthusiasm and we have a staff challenge Wednesday and all the groups can come and their staff compete in challenges and the kids really get into it. So again, that can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be, a particular space.
Yeah, well, I tell my staff on the first day of staff training that, yeah, this is a beautiful place, but I could run camp with me and a couple of you guys in my backyard with a red rubber ball, and these kids would have a great time. Because
Yeah.
it's about the staff and it's about all the little things that we do in between. It's not about the place at all, right? I mean, we're joking around about your camp being an urban camp, and it sounds like paradise, but I mean, there's real urban camps that are like on rooftops and totally indoors and all those kind of things. And if the kids, if that's their vision of camp in their head, if that's their version, then that's it. That's it. They get used to that and they enjoy that and they love that. And it's up to us as camp operators to be creative and throw these little cool things in there.
You are a leader of your camp and a pillar in your community. When your customers put tremendous trust in you, CampMinder's powerful management tool delivers the day-to-day task support that helps you make every moment memorable and every summer stellar. With 20 plus camp-specific tools in one, CampMinder's user-friendly platform is backed by a full team of engineers and customer service reps who are constantly thinking of ways to help your camp stand the test of time. Visit them today at campminder.com and tell them Andy sent you.
I'm wondering, what kind of support do you get from the school, Megan? Do you get from the people that own the fitness center, Brianne? Like, do you get at odds with them? Or are you constantly like, don't forget about the camp, kind of thing? Like, how does that dynamic work?
So yeah, don't hang.
You're good. Go ahead.
I think it's, there are definitely pros and cons, but I think overall, working within a big organization, there are definitely some huge pluses. Like we have a full HR department that takes care of our contracts and, helps us with our job postings. Then we have a marketing and communications department that will help us with, marketing and initiatives, social posts or things like that. So it definitely, there are those bonuses having worked at a private overnight camp where none of that exists, where like I was the IT department as well as, so we have a full IT
Everything's
department.
DIY, right?
Exactly. So it's fantastic to be able to take advantage of those things. And then on, the flip side, there is the challenges of, so everything does take a little bit more time, right? So they don't only have camp to worry about, they have the rest of the school. So the HR department is hiring and dealing with all of those, personnel issues within the school as well. So sometimes, you just can't snap your finger and have something done that, there might be some steps or some meetings that have to happen or, a process of decision making that is very different from a private,
Yeah, but
owned
are you
camp.
part of that? Or like, are you part of the leadership team that like do they factor you in, or do you come in for the first day of camp and there's a statue where you guys usually do your, you know?
Yeah, and it happens sometimes, but I think it's about that relationship building, right? So now, like, I think we have such an amazing relationship with our facilities team and our food service team. And so now when there's something that's happening, like last summer, there was, the town all of a sudden decided that they had to fix the sidewalk somewhere, and that's, a backed path. Our facilities manager, the first thing he does is picks up the phone and calls me because he thinks of us now. Because we have that great relationship with, being like, oh, how is this going to affect Camps and Megan versus us sort of maybe being forgotten before.
Well, that
Um,
is so
so
amazing. That is
yeah,
so
so I think
amazing.
it's a really great positive thing. But of course, there are definite challenges with.
Is there a set during the off season, during the camp off season, during the school year? Are there set times, meetings, anything like that with the administration and you?
Well, I have like a standing meeting I report directly into the CFO of the school. So I have a standing one-on-one meeting with him every like bi-weekly, every 2 weeks.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah,
So
that's what I was talking about.
yeah, so we have those. So I have a great relationship with him as well too, in terms of a very collaborative working partnership. And then everything else has work back plans. So for like, for HR, we have a work back plan of, okay, when do we go out to, when are the job prescriptions reviewed? When are postings going out? When does applications open? So that everybody's kind of on the same page in terms of when those dates and deadlines need to be met. And then we meet accordingly. But I think it's also being a part of the community. So like I make a point of being supportive of the school initiatives as well. So like I show up to maybe an assembly or our week without halls or, a Duke of Ed trip or things like that. I volunteer. I ask to go on those things so that people know who I am as well within the community. So, and try to offer my expertise or my strengths where I can. And hopefully that, comes back to people thinking of us too in flip side.
The better you make that relationship, now I'm on the strategic planning committee for the school district. They're starting to go, okay, we need somebody from the outside. Who do we know? Okay, now they know, they pull you in because they're the same kids that you're working with, and you are included in their rules as well as your rules. So some of it, your staff has to remember they have two sets of rules. They have to act a certain way while they're in the building at the school, as opposed to when they're at the park. But it's been wonderful. It just takes energy, like you said, showing up to things and
Yeah.
And
being
it makes
seen.
me think that in all of these different models, like it can run in many different ways. And this also is like an evolution over time for all three of you, right? And so I think there's a difference between having a seat at the table, maybe on that leadership team or whatever in the partnering location that you're at, and also pulling up a chair to the table or getting brought into the table. Like it takes work and it takes a certain drive and ambition to go after those things. And you're just reminding all of us of the importance of putting yourself out there and being at the top of their minds all the time, so that exactly what Andy's saying, like you don't get a statue put in the place where you usually have your flagpole every time and now there's nowhere for the kids to sit. And so I love these examples because I think there is a difference between something being set up a certain way and you coming to it, and then the work you have to do to kind of get at that table in a certain way.
And I
Megan,
think you have to position it as like you are like I'm constantly advocating for. There's no doubt about it. And so sometimes, people are like, okay, we know you're here, but I think it's also trying to find that win-win, right? So like, okay, let's find a way that this is going to benefit both the school and camps. And then if you position it that way a little bit, it becomes a different, you're not so much advocating for yourself, but you're advocating for the benefit that it's going to provide your entire community all year round.
Megan, how many of your campers do you think attend the school?
I actually know that data. Yeah.
Is it
So-
100? Like, what do you think?
So the school has just 900 or so students in the school throughout the year, but that's from JK to grade 12. Our camp only goes up to age 12, other than, we have a small leadership program for ages 13 to 15. But so our camp really it's only our junior school students that are really eligible to come as campers. And that's about 270 or so kids in the junior school. And we have about almost 50% of those kids that attend camp.
Well, that's solid. That
But
is
in the
pretty
grand
solid.
scheme of things, we have over 1,400 families come to us. So it's a very small percentage of our camp community, but yet a really significant
Yeah.
portion of the
Well,
students.
getting half of those kids that's super successful. Big
Yeah.
picture. And you must also be able to get a lot of counselors from the high school kids, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we do. So that's, again, an advantage that I try to sell. And I work with our admissions team to try to sell the benefits of camp to those families that, well, you're going to come and try camp and then maybe you'll consider the school. But also, too, there could be a job opportunity for you if you do attend the school. We're also, is all girls during the school year, and our camps are co-ed. So I do have that sort of balance that I do need to, find. And I do want people from different backgrounds, different schools, all of that kind of stuff as well. But definitely I have a good core of awesome students to attend Brixham and it's nice to see them in the halls throughout the year too, right? So I pass them in and you have that relationship.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier, acknowledging, the infrastructure that you guys have at, because of the school. Because I was talking to Brianne earlier this week, and I was explaining, that we have to do all the desktop publishing things here. We have to do all the payroll. We have to do all that stuff. It's a huge burden for a small business to do that. So to have that set up is super wonderful. And, I know friends at JCC, big JCC in New York City, that they have 3 people in their marketing department that just do graphic design. I mean, like, how unbelievable is that to create your social media posts and such, like you're saying? It's just, yeah, that's super nice. So Brianne, talk about what it's like for you on a day to day. You're out there selling camp and stuff like that, and then 99% of the employees working on selling gym memberships.
Yeah, I mean, we work really well together. We do have like a directors meeting every Tuesday. So we kind of try and stay in the loop and stuff like that. And for us, the culture of the NAC is kind of like when people are running like their big events, like we all do help each other. And that's kind of the mindset. Like we look at it like what's best for the club, right? And so when we like share space and resources, I feel like ultimately, like if camp ever has to maneuver things, again, it's from the lens of what's best for the club. But I feel like they know that if I need to change the schedule within 24 hours, that I am fully capable of doing that. And they have faith in me and I'm adaptable, I'm flexible. And the culture at camp is whatever it takes for the kids to have a good day. And the kids don't know what they don't know. So as long as we keep showing up and we're like, this is great, we're going to have a picnic in this location today instead of our normal camp room. Like they just don't know. So we do really well. And I would say it's really known that like camp takes over like the one facility in the summer. I mean, that is a huge piece to the puzzle of the NAC. And 40% of our members attend camp. The 60 other percent are general public. But I would say like we share space very well. And I think I run a very well-oiled machine like that's organized. So like I said, we can be adaptable. Our staff is adaptable. And like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the owner. So
Mhm.
we do whatever it takes to create a great
Yeah, and
environment.
we were talking about websites before we started
Mm.
recording, and because Megan was saying that they're redoing their website and make it seem really campy because the school is like this really. I don't want to say it's stuffy, but it's like it's like old school. It's like Harvard University kind of vibe, right? Your Camp NAC website is super cute, and it's completely different from the regular website and from the athletic, because you go to the athletics website, the athletic center website, it's like Lifetime Fitness. It's like this sleek, super cool thing. And there's a link off of the main one to your camp. But when you go to your camp thing, it's the camp. That is it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. So I just recommend to anybody out there that's in this same situation as you guys that you have your own URL that people go to, that you don't go to the main thing to find you. That's it, that's nice if you're able to, but that shouldn't be your route to your website because you are your own thing, especially with 500 kids.
I think, Andy, too, like we've having this conversation as we are moving under the Branksome site. And so how do we make it, how do we again make it that win-win situation, right? Because I think the Branksome name does have an amazing reputation in Ontario and actually worldwide. And so we want to try to figure out how to leverage that with our camps because there's a certain standard that comes with, being a camp or being a student at Branksome Hall. And parents know that. So we want to be able to leverage that. So we maybe, we have this own URL where we'll probably still use that and market it.
Yeah,
But
as long as Brixton Day Camp takes you to your page,
Yeah,
even if your page
the
is embedded
pages are
in
going
the
to be,
overall site. That's
yeah,
fine.
the pages are going to be different. So it's again that win-win proposition of how do you make it work and not compromise those values or those things that you still want to make sure for camp.
Excellent. Any other questions, Georgiana, you'd like to head up?
I think the one thing that I'm curious about is we talked a little bit about the training. I was very curious about like what level of training do you have to do in addition to your regular camp training? But it sounds like it's a lot of like security pieces and just how to share the facility and walking them through those. Is there anything we're missing from that in terms of how things might be different in your types of camps when it comes to training staff?
We bring in someone from the NAC that does a training, so it's not us, that goes over the NAC culture, and we show like pictures of the directors, of who they are, and then we reinforce like the codes that we use at camp are the same codes that they use at the NAC, right? So like some of it's reinforcing what we've already teaching them, but we found that getting like people from the NAC in there to go over what the NAC culture is. It really should bleed into camp. Camp is its own brand, and how we are is a little different, but the same, like we tell them, like the way that you show up at camp, when you're working out at the NAC, even when you do not have your uniform on, you're representing camp and the NAC at all times. So we really go into that. And then we also go into, if there is like a member that's upset with us, how to have like the conflict resolution and what to do if you are put in a situation where someone's frustrated that we're in their space, and what to do, how to have those conversations, and or who to key right away. So it becomes a frictionless experience for our members and our campers as well.
That's awesome. Megan, is there anything else that comes to mind for you?
For us, I think there's like a few pieces that the school requires that we then have to kind of layer that in. So, for example, there's every new employee has to complete some of these citation trainings, which are these online trainings that, like AODA and those types of things. So we sort of have to do that anyway in camp, but the school requires them in a different way. So we just have to figure out that partnership. So I think there's like maybe 12 modules that an employee has to complete, and we'll make it 8 for camp. Or there's also some sexual abuse prevention training that the school has to complete, like every employee who's student facing has to complete this. And we made sort of a camp edition of it. So there are some requirements that the school has, and we try to figure out, okay, what applies to us, because they're still employees of the school. So they have to kind of meet those requirements, but what does that look like in that collaboration with HR or whatever department that is, to be able to kind of make sure that it makes sense?
The one thing that we have in the public, since we're always in the public, that we have to stress is every interaction that you have, make sure it's what you would want to see someone interacting with your brother or sister doing. Because you're going to have 100 people that are public people that don't have kids or don't know, and they're going to notice if you raise your voice. They're going to notice if you don't get down to their level. So we have to be very mindful of what something could look like when they can't hear what you're actually saying.
Right.
What does it look like from afar? It's just like those daycares that have cameras that are going all the time in the daycare center. Things can be misconstrued if your body language is not the way it should be.
Right. Well, all I can say is that you guys, including you, Sarah, you guys just have amazing patience, because you have to have more, to do what you do. And yeah, and I don't know, Megan, if you didn't have 23 programs, I'd switch jobs with you. It's just sounds amazing. Your job sounds unbelievable. Yeah, your job sounds awesome, and it sounds like an amazing place. Man, I definitely would like to cruise by it when I will visit Toronto. Well,
Amazing. We'd love to host you. Come for a tour.
And we're holding you to it, Andy. And I think also before we leave, I just want to say how inspired and impressed I am. Just like the female leadership on the podcast right now is like so, so strong, and really impressed with everything you guys do. So thanks for sharing all that. I'm really excited for people to hear this.
yeah, yeah. You guys are super impressive. So thanks a lot, and thank you to our sponsors: Commercial Recreation Specialists, AM Skyer, Campminder, and Camptivities. And if you like what you hear, you should subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and check out the show notes at daycamppodcast.com, and also has contact information for Megan, for Brianne, and for myself, Jordana, and Sam. So see you next time at the Day Camp Pod. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. All right. Thanks. Bye.
The Day Camp Podcast is brought to you by Go Camp Pro and the Go Camp Pro Podcast Network. Find a podcast for camp professionals of every age and stage at gocamp.pro/podcast. Thanks for listening, friends. Hey, Camp Pros, we love that our industry is built on sharing. In order to foster that spirit, we hope that whenever you share an idea that you learned from the Camp Hacker podcast, conference, summer camp professionals group, or wherever else, that you're quick to give credit where credit is due. That way, we can all encourage more camp pros to share the tips and tricks that will make camp better.